I'm not going to bore you with all the normal, you need ratchets, wrenches, screwdrivers. You know, you can see them right here. I got a whole slew of them. And you've seen the picture. I got a whole slew of everything. Okay. You don't need me to go through all that. You guys know that part. Okay. Now there are some specialty ones that aren't really that special. They're not expensive. They're very economical, but they are necessary to the job. Okay. So the first one I want to say is that all these old trucks are going to have suspension problems, and to get the suspension apart, you're going to need a couple things, but the main thing is a pickle fork. Okay. And as you can tell, I've used this one extensively. I probably need to grind that. But a pickle fork to get all your suspension joints apart. It's just a wedge with a hammer to get everything to break loose. Very, very important. If you ain't got that, you ain't going to get nothing apart, especially after sitting in the field for 30 years. Okay. Pickle fork. The next one, once you get everything apart and you start pulling things out, you're going to need this is a seal puller. This is for drive shaft seal, transmission seal, anything, you know, the seal from the timing chain. This was less than $10, and it's money well spent. But trying to drive them out with a screwdriver in awkward positions, this one just kicks it right out. Perfect. Okay. The next one is flywheel tool. Now, I don't know if you guys have watched any of my other videos, but you know, this is one of my favorites. Okay. Now, I ended up with this. I didn't know I had this for a year. I had borrowed this from my local Napa decades ago, and I forgot to take it back. And then since after I had it in the toolbox forever, they actually closed down. I don't know where. So I owe, if you guys know Rob from Salisaw in the Napa, I owe him a flywheel tool. But this has been the best thing. It's lasted 40 years. They're very economical, but they'll make your life so much simpler when you're underneath and having to unbolt and bolt the torque converters and just move to get timing right and everything. These are the best. Okay. Hey, have you guys heard? We're doing the first ever giveaway at Uncle Buck's Garage. And what we're giving away is this. I'm giving away this engine right here, minus the valve covers and the T-handles. But this engine is getting given away to a person which will be picked Christmas Day, December 25th of 2025. Happens to have to be a Thursday. And we do our lives on Thursday. And Christina is going to pick the name out of the hat of who's going to win this. But now, I'm not shipping. You're going to have to come get it. But all you got to do is buy some merch. There'll be a little scroll underneath the screen for all my videos. All you got to do is buy some merch. But the thing is that Spring, the company that makes those t-shirts, they don't give your guys' information out. They're very protective of your information. So to get qualified, you got to send me a screenshot of the purchase from Spring to my email address, bigbuckslater@gmail.com. That's bigbuckslater@gmail.com. You send me that and you qualify for the deal. Now, you guys that have already purchased in the past, find me the screenshot or send me an email with a picture of the receipt and you qualify too. So everybody that's bought in the past, so get your orders in, give me those emails so I can get you in the file and see if we can win you an engine. Something a little bit off, which you guys have seen me use many, many times. That is a lock plate tool for a steering column. Now this will fit anything GM, Ford, Dodge, but they all come with the 70 stuff with the turnkey. They all come with a lock plate that keeps the steering wheel locked in place. You know, it's an anti-theft thing. And without that little tool, you're never getting it off and you're never getting it back on. Again, a very economic. I've had this one for about 30, 40 years. One of the best investments I ever made, and they're cheap and they're really easy to use. Torque wrench. Okay. You're going to need this, whether it's you need to. I know you guys have seen me do a lot of dumb stuff, but when it comes to engines, when it comes to mains and rods and everything else, I do use the torque wrench. Okay. And these are getting where they're pretty economical too. Up to 100 foot-pounds, 125 foot-pounds, they're great. Okay. And they're economical and it doesn't cost a lot. You get a good bang for the buck. The other one here, this is an oil pump priming tool that hooks onto the hub on the oil pump. And while it's sitting on the stand, you can actually use a drill and you can spin this and prime your oil system as it's sitting on the deal, or if it's been sitting for a long time in the engine bay or whatever. But it's another very cheap, very economical. They work great, and I highly recommend this. Now, when it comes to tuning, we're going to go to tuning, okay? First one is going to be your vacuum gauge. This is the timing lights are great, but vacuum gauge is your most important thing you're going to have, because this tells you how the engine is doing, how much vacuum you can pull, and how much you can get an engine to give. It's a very, very necessary tuning tool. Old school, okay? Old school. And to go along with that, a timing light, okay? Now, we're going to go a little bit off center. See that right back there? That's my blast cabinet. When it comes to these old trucks and cars, there is rust everywhere, okay? Everywhere there's rust, all right? You can use chemicals and dip it. You can use strippers. You can use them new big, huge paddle wheels that take stuff off. But when it comes down to little bits and pieces, even just nut and bolts, heads and stuff like that, a cabinet blaster is one of the best investments you'll ever make. I've had that one 20 years, and it has been gold. It is one of the best things. I also mentioned a brake bleeding kit. Now, there's a lot of those out there that are, you can hook a vacuum up to it or an air pump, and you can do it by yourself. But a good old-fashioned brake bleeding kit, again, economical, they're not expensive, and they are worth their weight in gold, because if you got a lot of go, you need a little whoa, all right? So make sure your brakes are good. Okay, we went along with the hand tools. Now we'll go, do you have power? Okay, now, electric, battery, or air. It doesn't really matter, okay? But there's just a couple ones that are just a have to have. Okay. If you have air, my two go-tos are, the first one is a DA, dual action. When you're doing body work, there's no other way to go. It just cuts everything down quick and fast, and they're reliable. They're, again, $20 at Harbor Freight, online, whatever you want to do. They're great. And plus, everybody sells pads for them. So they even sell replacement pads, because I had an old one I bought at an auction 40 years ago, and that pad finally just exploded and went everywhere. There was junk everywhere. And it didn't get hurt, but I mean, there was junk everywhere. The other one is a good ratchet. Okay, a good air ratchet. This one I've had, again, I bought this at an auction 40 years ago, and it's been the best one ever, okay? Now, I want to get to a point. There's a point I want to make, okay? All right, when it comes to hand tools, all of them, if it's not broke, you don't need to fix it, okay? Now, this is my first ratchet I ever bought. This was Walmart. 40 years ago, I bought this. It's for Perform America. It's a Perform America. Yeah, made in USA, 5150 steel. And I've had this thing since I was 16 years old, right? This is the ratchet I use with cheater bars and everything else, because this sucker has lasted all these years and been abused by me. I've tried to break this and haven't been able to do it. Now, I had a proto ratchet for a long time, and I broke it using a cheater bar on it. It just snapped right in half. But this one, this is Timex. This takes a living to keep on ticking. Now, this is a new one from Harbor Freight. All right, and they're great. Okay, they're great. But the two next to each other, I'm just going to say that this one I'm going to trust for used to use it bad ways, breaking things with cheater bars, things like that. I can't trust this to do that, okay? I don't know where to go to get this kind of craftsmanship, but if you guys have any ideas, you tell me. You tell me if there's a tool company out there can match 40 years of cheater bars and still keep going. because I had the high-end proto on a shorter cheetah bar than I've used on this one before, and it snapped almost right in half. Just ruined it. Okay, so old school sometimes is better than new school. I will give you one extra, and this one isn't that economical, but right there, right here. Okay, because you guys know these things are going to come in with problems, things you have to patch, you know. And the more I do, the better I'm getting at it. And I hate body work. Okay, I love welding because that's what I did for years and years and years for a job. Okay, I love building things, building brackets and little things, and and helping out the neighbors if they break something on their trade or things like that. I love welding, but I hate body work. I really do. It's not my favorite thing to do, but it's a necessary evil because there's going to be rust in the fenders. There's going to be rust in the cab corners. There's going to be floor pans are going to be gone. There's going to be things you're going to need that welder for to get the job done because there isn't any other way around it. Now you can go. That's the way to go. That's the way. It's just a little gas system. It runs off of 110, and it's just been the best little tool that I ever bought. It really has. Once I got that welder, all the possibilities opened. Okay, next thing for tools is corded tools, electric corded tools. Okay, I have had, my favorite is this one. This is my electric die grinder. It's a Chicago brand. I've had this, again, 40 years since I was a teenager. Okay, I bought this at Harbor Freight way back in the day, and I've had it and abused it and used it and used it and used it. And there isn't any reason for me to replace. I know everybody wants, battery powered, cordless, it's more convenient. You can do whatever, but I never saw the point of replacing a perfectly good tool that's still working. Until this one goes out, I'm not getting a new one. Now I would love, the same thing is with my 4-inch grinder, my DeWalt corded 4-inch grinder. I've had this thing. This one's a little bit newer. I probably had this one 30 years. Okay. But I would love to have a cordless, batteried, 4-inch cutoff, or, I would. But there's no reason to because they're working perfectly fine. It's a little bit less convenient, toting a cord around, but there's no reason to replace a perfectly good tool just because it's the latest greatest in it, the coolness factor. I'm not into that. Like I said, all these tools, some of my older tools are much better than the new ones. All right. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with battery tools. I mean, I have a very good collection of DeWalt stuff, and I'm a DeWalt guy. My son is Milwaukee, but I'm a DeWalt guy, and I like these 20 volts. They have been the bomb. I have, when it comes to these, an Impact is one of those, I've got an Air Impact, but this was given to me as a present for Christmas by the wife, and I use this thing a lot. Okay, this is my main tool for taking front clips and stuff off. I mean, it just takes right out, and you can just any direction you want, and it's light, and it's compact, and it's powerful, and it's great. Okay, now because of that, then now I've got the same 20 volt weed eater, hedge trimmer, pole saw, chainsaw. I mean, I've got an extensive collection of yard tools, but this and one drill is basically all I have for hand tools when it comes to them. But this is I love this thing. I really do. I really love this thing. It's been the best. Okay. So, but that's another one. All this stuff is going to be in links down below, or they're going to have links pop up on the bottom of the screen down here somewhere. All this stuff is going to be available to get. It can be a big expense. It can be a huge expense when it comes to tools. But just to begin with, the basic set of hand tools will get 90% of the work done. These are just extras to make life a little easier on yourself. I want to go one more place. I want to go safety. Okay. Now right here, I have, when I'm, doing floor pans and stuff and using the air hammer, I got my ear protection in because it's loud. Sometimes when I got both compressors running in this shop, it's loud. Okay, when I got sparks and everything going on, or I'm underneath and I know I might get something dripped in my eyes or something, I'm wearing one of these. Okay, now these full face shields with the goggles, these are the bomb. I mean, you guys, all you older guys know about being underneath trucks and hitting something with a hammer, and all of a sudden half that truck ends up on your face with rust and dirt and rocks and chips and everything. This, you can do that with impunity. Okay, put a hoodie on, put this on, pull everything tight, and just start clanging and banging from underneath, and you ain't got to worry about nothing except for shaking your hair out when you get done. That's it. I mean, these things are great. I highly recommend these. I keep an extra one just because, and until this is gone, and I think they actually do sell replacement shields. If you take care of it, it'll last for a long time. This one has lasted several years. I will say my son got me into these. Yeah, he came home from the Navy, and you know, I'm old school. You know, you just get your hands dirty. But he, when it comes to like dipping things in vinegar and stuff, you don't want to smell like a summer's eve all day long. You know, these are great. I mean, and these were cheap and inexpensive, and it's a box of a bunch of them, and it'll last me forever. But it's one of the better ones. That's about it. There really isn't much more. If you guys have anything you want to add to it, just comment down below. Like, share, subscribe, smash that button, hit that bell. Tell your friends about Uncle Buck's Garage. Word of mouth is one of the best advertisements there is. Y'all have a great day, because a great day today could mean an even better day tomorrow. With new tools, possibly. You know, that's always fun. New tools are always fun. Y'all be good.